No. Our next speaker for the day will be Amy Klous. Amy will be facilitating the Table Topics conversation this week based on the theme Best Friends Day. She will display engaged, active listening and responses following each participant. This discussion will meet her fulfillment of the Level 3 presentation mastery. Her title of her project today is Active Listening While Facilitating Table Topics. Amy Klous, Active Listening While Facilitating Table Topics, Amy Klous.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. And welcome, everybody. I think we have time. Lisa, can you tell me how much time we do have since we're combining the table topics and my 5 to 7 minute speech?
Well, the agenda says we usually start general evaluator at 12:44, so
we have plenty of time. It'd be great to get through, give everybody a question to participate. So our theme today is Best Friends Day. And as our grammarian had pointed out, and somebody will be sharing in the chat as a reminder, our word of the day is camaraderie, or you can use comrade. So there's a lot of opportunities to use comrade in talking about your best friends and sharing about them. So let's get right to it. Best friends can come in many forms: human beings, pets, imaginary friends. So tell us about your first best friend, Greg.
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guests. I actually can't remember my very first best friend. I think it was a while. I was and still am an introvert, as some of you know. Others I have fooled. So, when I was in elementary school, I remember talking to kids on the playground, but I was very introverted. I kept to myself. I was very much, you can imagine, all up in here, everything, lots of conversations going on up here, but the outside conversation, the communication part, I didn't have a lot of camaraderie with really anybody. I was very much in my head and kept to myself. Probably not even till maybe junior high or high school. I was in band, so I played an instrument. I played sax. I started out in clarinet and played sax, tenor sax. So once I started getting into high school and jazz band and pep band and marching band, that the camaraderie kind of developed, through going to games and practices and stuff like that. So I did have some friends in high school, some people what I would consider good friends that they more talked to me and I nodded, yeah, not a lot of deep conversations even when I was in high school. But to this day, when I got on Facebook, they were the first people I looked up. So yeah, I didn't have a lot of best friends, but I find as I get older and have let a lot of this go and have learned some communication skills here in Toastmasters, I find it's easier to establish some camaraderie with even people, new friends. So I have existing best friends. I have new friends that I have not yet met. Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you for sharing that, Greg. And it sounds like you were your own best friend, and I think that's great too. So the next question is kind of the same thing. Best friends can come in many forms. Again, human beings, pets, imaginary friends. But share with us about your best friend now. Amanda.
Thank you, Table Topics Master. My best friend lives thousands of miles away, and she has been my best friend since 2013. We were studying our course together. And so we were studying together, we're practitioners, so trading sessions with each other. And our friendship has just evolved so beautifully ever since. She is my comrade. And even though I moved thousands of miles away from her, she still calls me every Thursday afternoon. and we message each other throughout the week. What's been really sad is I haven't been able to see her since December 2019. However, I am actually flying her over in the next few months so she can come visit me. And I'm getting emotional just telling you guys about that. We have gone through so much good times, bad times, all the things together. And even though she's not the friend from high school, you never know where to expect your best friend will come from. I'm still kind of in touch with a couple of primary school friends, definitely still in close contact with a couple of good high school friends, but she feels like my forever friend. And she has done so much for me. I like to think I've done so much for her. And her name is Kim. And when Kim comes to the US, I'll be making a big commotion about it and probably taking her to our Toastmasters lunch if it's on while she's here, because I would love everybody to meet Kim. Thank you. Back to you, Table Topics Master.
Well, I can't wait to meet Kim. And I think it's so awesome that you still talk every Thursday afternoon. What a great connection and meaningful connection that is. Thanks for sharing about Kim. So what are the qualities most important to you in a friend? Sarah.
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master. This is going to come as a shock, maybe, to some of the people who have met me because I'm really outgoing, really out there. I don't have a lot of really close friends. I'm a lot. I like to say that if you described yourself as a flavor, my husband is very vanilla. Everyone likes my husband. Everyone finds him very easy and digestible, and nobody feels like they're off-put by him unless he wants you to feel off-put by him. I am a strong, weird flavor. And that's okay. I'm not going to change for anybody else. But I accept that I am not for everyone. And if I'm for you, I'm probably really for you. And if I'm not, you probably avoid me. As far as deep friendships go, I got very lucky. I married my best friend. I know that sounds really cheesy and really lame, but it's true. I absolutely married my best friend. I can't imagine wanting to travel the world with anyone else. I can't imagine raising children with anyone else. And I think when you marry your best friend, it's a little bit like having a sleepover every night for your whole entire adult life. And that's awesome. We just drink beers and play board games and make fun of things together. And I want that for everybody. I hope that everybody, when they are dating and looking for a romantic partner, that they also evaluate, am I good enough friends with this person to spend almost every day for the rest of my life with them? If the answer is yes, I think you should proceed. Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Sarah, for that wonderful message. And I like your flavor of ice cream. And I was waiting for you to bring up your husband based on the speech you gave last week. How do you try to be a good friend? Lisa.
Can somebody time me? I'm already all over the place here. Somebody could please just time me. Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. That's a really good question, because I think now I feel like the thing I think loyalty is important to me. What was that the question? Characteristics in a friend that I wanted?
How do you try to be a good friend?
Oh, how do I try to be a good friend? Okay, well, I try to be loyal. So I guess the things that I would look for in a best friend is the same thing that what I think I want to be here for a friend anytime that they needed me as much as possible. I will say that as an adult, as I've aged and had to learn how to manage my energy I've had to learn how to set boundaries with some of my friends. So I think that's an important topic that I just want to address right now, because I've had friends that I've given myself to in that sense, where I'm always there for them and they could call me. But as the friendship developed, it almost became too much for me to handle. And so that was very hard for me. So I think that there's a fine medium of providing and giving of yourself to a friend. And so I would always be here. But at the same time, I think it's important to set boundaries so that you don't become so involved that you are mentally exhausted by being with that person. So I try to just be here, whatever that means to somebody. But if they need more than I can give, I also feel it's important to make sure of that. I don't remember the question again. Anyway, what I look for in a best friend, I think that's what you said. I'm not sure I answered it, but I just needed to address that. And, I have many comrades and I have too many, actually, is what I would say. So I guess you can never have too many friends, but I have many good friends. I was just trying to get the word of the day in there, and I'm rambling on now for this table topic. So I will hand it back to you. Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you for sharing your message about boundaries. Very important, Lisa. And a great segue to my next question. Sometimes we grow apart, and that's natural life trajectories for you, your friends. Have you ever had a friendship end by your choice or not, or just growing apart? And tell us about it, Diane.
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master. I had a comrade a few years ago that I had been very close friends with for several years. And I had to make a hard decision to end our friendship kind of silently when I started to realize that our values no longer aligned. I want to be respectful of her privacy, but I started spending less and less time with her as I realized that she had different views on loyalty with her partner and how she approached life in her relationship with that person. And I felt that that didn't align with the kind of values I had for my own relationship, and that it would be better for me as a person, for my own health, to move in a different direction from her. I made the choice not to be vocal about my decision because I did not want to hurt her feelings. And over time, we kind of naturally grew apart, and that's how I handled that situation. But I think that each friendship is different. And as you get older and your values change, sometimes you have to look at each relationship and decide if it's a healthy relationship for you going forward. Thank you, Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Diane, for sharing that. I know that that's hard in having those boundaries and honoring your own values. And what a kind of honoring her in a way that you kind of just let their space, let you go your separate ways with your space between you. Thank you for sharing that. Pets make a great best friend. I can attest to that. Were you ever lucky enough to have a pet? And tell us about it, Ernesto. You're muted.
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master. It's funny you bring up the word pet. I'm an astrologer, and contrary to popular belief, astrology is actually a language and not a belief system. So when I was teaching a class yesterday, we lost our dog Bella of 17 years a couple of days ago. Many times she was the only friend that I had in this house, the only comrade that I really wanted to spend time with, because she wasn't a human. I could talk to her and all of that kind of stuff. But what's really weird in astrology and what I do is we have 8,000 definitions that relate to major life events, ranging from getting a new job, getting married, having children, getting lice. I mean, of all things, getting lice. Why is there a definition for that? But we don't have a definition for pets or animals. If you look at like creatures, there is no distinction between an alligator or a hippopotamus, a dolphin, a bird, or a cat. So that's all a little bit confusing. But when you really break it down and look more closely, pets are friends, is what they are. The entire reason that we would have a pet is so that we have a friend, so that we have a comrade. That's the entire reason that we bring them in. So at the most base level, while we may not have a traditional definition for something like pets or those kinds of smaller creatures in our lives, we can define them as friends. So when I was doing this proof to show everybody the loss of a pet, there's no definition for that part of the word. I can define death, I can define loss, that's great. But when it comes to the pet part, I have to redefine that as friend, and then it checks out in my chart. So that was really interesting to me. And I have a couple of examples of this. This is something that I need some more data on. So I have to compress like 1,000 different charts to really test this out, just the nature of what I do in my work. But it was very interesting to me to find out that pets are defined as friends in astrology. This is the first part of my own research. So when it comes to pets, in your question, Madam Table Topics Master, yes, we did have one, and it was just her time. We were born onto this planet to check out. Back to you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Ernesto. And I'm sorry to hear about your loss of your pet, your friend. And I hope you share some information with us in one of your future speeches about astrology and friends, including pets. How are you your own best friend, Nora?
Thank you, Madam Table Topics. Fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. That's a great question because I do feel like I'm my own best friend. I'm really good at writing out my feelings. And lately I've actually been verbally my feelings, and I have a microphone thing here, and I will talk about how I feel about something that's really bothered me, and then I'll listen to myself. So it's really very helpful. I have a lot of camaraderie with myself. I enjoy doing things with myself. I do live alone and I enjoy it most of the time. I would say I'm my best friend because I am pretty genuine. I think because I'm older now, right? The older you get, the more authentic you become, because you don't, it's not that I don't care what other people think. It's just that I no longer am such a people pleaser as I was growing up and worrying about rejection from other people. I am having a really great time with being my best friend. I'm trying new things, and we enjoy each other really well because I'm little Nora inside me. I'm adult Nora. I'm also a mother, a grandmother. I have this little guy here. I'm gonna show you. This is Riches. I take care of him. And I really enjoy being me. Thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing your message on how you are your own best friend. And what a great idea to use your voice recorder on your phone as a way to self-coach, I would say. Thank you. And that is our final question for our theme on Best Friends Day and our comrades. Thank you for all your different perspectives and sharing everything about your friends, your own friend, and your pets. And now this concludes Table Topics.
Reports.
So should we do evaluation on me first before we jump into
timer. I probably do